You get the email at 11 at night. The project you built for 2 years just got cancelled. No warning, no negotiation, just a decision made above your head that erases the thing you thought was solid ground. Your first instinct is to treat this as the end of the story, to lie there replaying every meeting where you should have seen it coming. But there is an old idea, tested by people who lost far more than a job, that says this moment is not the end of anything. It is raw material. The obstacle sitting in front of you right now, the one that feels like a wall, is actually the shape your next move is going to take. That is the promise worth examining tonight, not as a slogan you repeat to yourself in the mirror, but as a working method you can actually apply before the sun comes up. That idea has a name. Ryan Holiday, in his 2014 book, The Obstacle is the Way, built an entire framework around a single line from the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius did not write his private notebook, known to us as Meditations, from a comfortable palace. He wrote much of it, according to the historical framing Holiday uses, around the year 170 on campaign in Germania, commanding troops through disease and unrest on the empire's northern edge. This was not a man theorizing about hardship from a distance. He was governing an empire and fighting a war at the same time, and he needed a way of thinking that could survive contact with actual danger, not just survive a bad afternoon. That is the real constraint behind this teaching. It was not written for a seminar. It was written by someone who could not afford to fall apart, because falling apart had consequences for other people, not just for him. Here is the line itself, the one Holiday draws his title from. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Notice what that sentence does not say. It does not say the obstacle disappears. It does not say the pain is fake or that you should pretend it away. It says the obstacle itself, examined correctly, becomes the material you build your next action out of. Holiday organizes this into 3 disciplines drawn from Stoic thinking: perception, action, and will. Perception is how you see the situation before you react to it. Action is what you actually do once you have seen clearly. Will is what carries you through when the first 2 are not enough yet, when the effort has to continue without the reward showing up on schedule. Each one depends on the one before it, which is why most people get stuck at the very first step without ever realizing that is where the trouble started. Holiday illustrates perception with the example of John D. Rockefeller, who stayed grounded during repeated market crashes by understanding their turbulence instead of panicking inside it, which let his business survive downturns that ruined his competitors. He also opens the book with a parable, and it is worth being clear that this is a teaching story, not a documented historical account. A king places a boulder in the middle of a road to see how his people will respond to something blocking their way. Most look at it and turn back. One peasant goes into the forest, finds a branch, uses it as a lever, and moves the stone. Underneath, in Holiday's telling, is a note suggesting, in paraphrase, that within every obstacle there is a chance to improve your condition. It is a parable, not a record of events, but the point still lands. Most people meet resistance and stop there, deciding the road is simply closed. A few treat resistance as information about where the lever needs to go, or none of this is easy, and it would be dishonest to pretend otherwise tonight or any other night. When you lose the job, or the relationship ends, or the diagnosis comes back different than you hoped, your body responds before your mind gets a vote. That reaction is not weakness. It reflects, in Holiday's framing, older survival machinery in us reacting to modern pressure the way it once reacted to physical danger on open ground. The Stoic teaching here is not a demand that you feel nothing. It is not a promise that discipline makes you invulnerable to grief or fear or injustice, and anyone who tells you Stoicism means never feeling the loss is selling you something else entirely. If something is genuinely wrong, this philosophy does not ask you to smile through it, minimize it, or skip getting real help when you need it. What it offers instead is a second move, right after the first wave of feeling, where you decide what you do with what just happened to you. So what does that second move actually look like across a real day, not a theoretical one? In the morning, before the noise starts, ask yourself one honest question. What is actually in my control today and what is not? Holiday's framework, drawing on the Stoic distinction, lists things like your emotions, your judgments, your attitude, and your effort as within reach. The market, other people's decisions, and yesterday's outcome are not, no matter how much energy you spend arguing with them under your breath. In the moment, when the obstacle actually shows up, the practice is a pause before the reaction. Name what happened in plain, neutral language, not the dramatic version your mind wants to tell you first thing. Then ask what this specific difficulty is handing you to work with, the way the peasant looked at the boulder and saw a lever problem instead of a wall he was somehow owed an apology for. In the evening, review the day without flattering or punishing yourself for how it went. Where did you let context, the bigger picture surrounding the event, distort your judgment about what actually happened? Where did you frame a setback as a catastrophe when it was actually a fact demanding a response instead of a verdict on your worth? Write it down if that helps you see it clearly tomorrow, because the point of the review is not guilt. It is data you can use the next time a similar obstacle appears at your door. This will not turn you into someone who never struggles, and no honest telling of this idea should promise that it will, no matter how the thumbnail might frame it. What repeated practice actually does, based on the framework itself, is shorten the gap between the obstacle appearing and your clear response to it. The first few times, you will still spiral, still lie awake rehearsing the unfairness of it. Later, you will notice the spiral starting and interrupt it a little sooner each time. That is the realistic version of change here, not a permanent fix, not a cure for hard nights, but a shorter recovery time, built one rehearsal at a time. Over months, that shorter gap starts to look like resilience from the outside, even though from the inside it still just feels like practice. The same pause and the same question, repeated until it gets a little faster and a little quieter each time you run it. Zoom out far enough and this connects to something larger than any single obstacle you happen to be facing this week. The Stoic view holds that your judgments, not the raw events themselves, determine most of your suffering. The job loss is a fact. The story you tell about what it means for your worth as a person is a judgment, and judgments can be examined, questioned, and rebuilt slowly, the same way any skill gets rebuilt after it breaks down. This is not about pretending hardship is secretly good, and it is not a way of skipping past grief or injustice when either one is real and present in your life right now. It is about refusing to hand your character over to circumstances you did not choose and cannot undo. Marcus Aurelius was writing this in the middle of an actual military crisis, mortality genuinely close at hand every single day, and his answer was not detachment from the world. It was sharper engagement with it, guided by clearer judgment about what actually mattered. So go back to that email at 11 at night. The project is gone. That part is simply true, and no amount of reframing changes it or should try to. But what happens next, whether you spend the following weeks stuck on the unfairness of it or looking for the lever this specific situation is handing you, that part is still yours to decide, tonight and tomorrow morning both, one small choice at a time. Put in your own words rather than quoted directly, the idea Holiday takes from Marcus Aurelius is this: whatever blocks your path does not just sit there uselessly, it becomes usable, if you are willing to look at it as material instead of insult. Maybe the real question worth sitting with tonight is simpler than it sounds. What is the obstacle in front of you actually asking you to build? Stoicism. Master your judgments, practice what is yours to control.